Hi everyone, it's coming up to spring, so I thought it's time to learn how to make a flower. So I'm going to start with a very easy pattern for a flower that'll make a daisy type flower with 6 petals. I'm actually using 10 ply, so it's quite thick, and just so that it's clearer for you to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to start with this lovely sort of light green colour for the centre. Leave a fair bit of tail, because you might want to use that to connect to a hair tie and make a little hair piece. Or anyway, if you don't know what you're going to do with it, it's better to leave a tail. So we're going to start with the running yarn end and do the letter C. So it goes around like this. Pinch your running yarn, pop it up through the middle and pull. Okay, and you'll know if you've done it right, because the running yarn should make the loop smaller. Okay, now for those of you that are new at this, sometimes we use what's called a magic circle. I'm going to show you an alternative to an easier way of doing it, where you work into that first loop. Now, if you want to put a stitch marker there to know where to work, that's a great idea too. Sometimes people get a bit confused, so we put a stitch marker in there. And then I'm going to use my 5mm hook. I'm going to swap things around a bit so that we've got the running yarn here on the left, as it should be. And put your hook through. Now we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now you'll need another stitch marker here, so that you know when you come around where it's up to. Okay, so here's how we're going to start. Very simply, we're going to go straight into that first chain that we go. Try to go under those 2 bits there, right next to your stitch marker. And we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So 5 single crochets, and this first one that we did with the chains counts as 1, 2. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put it through there. Get your new yarn, running yarn on the left, hook it over, or loop it over, pull it through that 3rd chain that we did where the stitch marker is, and then pull it through that last loop. Give your old colour a bit of a tug to make things a bit tighter. You can see that I've strangled that that blue. And now we're going to start our petals. Now we're going to start by doing 3 chain. So we're going to be going up to the top of our petal with 3 chain. Then we're going to work 3 incomplete trebles, which I'll show you, and then we're going to have 3 chains going down. So 3 up, 3 stitches, 3 down, and a slip stitch at the bottom. Okay, now this is how you do the incomplete treble. Don't let the name confuse you, because it's not that hard. Yarn over, yarn over. You go back into where that stitch marker is, and if you tuck your hook under those tails, they'll work into the back. If you can't do that, don't panic. Okay, so now we've got 4 strands on our hook, and we need 1 more. We pull through 2, just like we do with a double crochet. Yarn over, pull through 2. Now that is called an incomplete treble. If it was a complete treble, I would pull that through, but we're not going to. So you've got your 3 chains, your incomplete treble. We'll do another one. You go in, back around, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. You've got 3 loops on your hook, 3 chains going up, 1, 2 incomplete trebles. We're going to do one more. I'll do it really slow this time. And you can see that my tails are being worked into the back. Okay, let's take it very slowly to show you. Yarn over, yarn over. We go back into where that first stitch marker was. Well, actually the second stitch marker. We've now got 2, 4, 6, 7 on the hook. Pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. You're left with 4 on the hook. Yarn over and pull it through. And that's your first petal, almost finished. 1, 2, 3, and then back into that same bottom of your petal to do a slip stitch like that. Okay, so there's your middle and there's your first petal. So you should have 5 single crochets left over, and I'm going to take out that stitch marker now that showed us the top of those 3 chains at the beginning. So now if you look closely, you've got, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to have 6 petals. So let's go again. I'm going to do one more petal tying these in, and then I'll just push them to the side because I don't want to cut them because we might use them for something. So let's go. So in the next stitch, we put our hook under those 2 strands, yarn over, pull it back through, and do a slip stitch. Okay, so now, and give it a bit of a tug. It's nice to be a bit firmer at the bottom. Okay, we're going to go up to the top of the petal. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to do 3 incomplete trebles. 1, 2. Going to go in where we did our slip stitch into there. Tuck all those loose bits over the top there so you tie them in. Yarn over. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 and the 5. That's the yarn over. Pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, just as you would for a double crochet, and that gives us, oops, missed a bit, the 3 chains and the first incomplete treble. Okay, round and around. You go in through that space, and I'm putting all my tails under that yarn over. Once again, if it's too hard for you, don't do it. Yarn over. So now pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we're left with 3. So we've done our 3 chains up, 1, 2 incomplete trebles. We're going to do one more. Go in, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and now we've got 4. So we're going to complete that last treble now by doing the yarn over and pulling it through, and then we do 3 chain, 1, 2, 3, and we go right back down to where we started in there, and we do a slip stitch. Okay, so there's 2 petals looking pretty cute. Now I'm going to push those tails to the side now. I'm going to push those tails to the right so they don't bother me anymore, and I'm going to start the third petal. So we do, there's our last one there. So we go to the next single crochet top and we do a slip stitch. Now help me out here. What do we do next? We do our, that's right, 3 chain up, 1, 2, 3, yarn over, go back to the bottom of those 3 chains, into there, pull through 2, pull through 2, and that's the first incomplete. So now we're up to the third incomplete treble. Yarn over, back into here, pull it through, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now you're left with 4. You've got your 3 chains going up, 1, 2, 3. We're going to complete that treble by doing yarn over and pull through. 1, 2, 3. Then we go down back into our original spot and do a slip stitch, and once again give it a bit of a tug. All right, so that's half of our flower so far, looking pretty cute. You probably don't need to leave that one that was showing you the first chain in anymore. So that's it there. And I'm just going to work on quietly, and I'll just let you watch me. And if you know what I'm doing, then you can just move on a little bit. So I'm up to the last petal. So we go into that single crochet and do a slip stitch, 3 chains up, 1, 2, 3, yarn over, back into where you've done that slip stitch, through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, back into there, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So we've got one more to do, into there, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now you should have four loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull it through, 3 chain, 1, 2, 3. Go down into your slip stitch down there and do another slip stitch there. And to finish it off, you go back into that original stitch, do a slip stitch, give it a tug, Fasten off securely. We pull it through like we're going to do a chain, but hold on to this part of the yarn, pull it through, and then feed that tail back through there. Give it a bit of a tug. Because I've used such thick wool, it's got a pretty big gap in the middle, which you may or may not like, depending on what you're going to use it for. But there is a little trick that you can do to make it look a bit neater. First of all, I'm just going to attach that last bit to one of the strands underneath so that it comes in a bit. It doesn't sit on the outside. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a knot there. Don't ruin my flower. This is the back, of course. Okay. The easiest way to finish this off is simply to put one end in like that and the other end in and tie a knot. I'm sure you guys have got plenty of other ways of doing it, but this is just a quick way to do it. And if you don't want any extra strands, what you can do is use your darning needle and weave them through the back, which I will do afterwards. And there's your little hair tie, or your little, it was an applique, what we call an applique, so you could put it on a bag, or you could just connect it. And these bits at the back always make it easier to connect to something else. It's our little daisy flower for today that I've put on the back of a hair tie.